Right now in front of us, we have the SNES Classic, and we're going to be looking at what's inside and also some of the cool stuff about the system itself. So let's begin by looking at the front of the box here. So you can see at the very top of the box it says Super Nintendo Entertainment System. It mentions the games that are included. It mentions that it's got Starfox 2, never before released, Super Mario World, Donkey Kong Country, F-Zero, Super Mario Kart, and The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, and more, which we'll look at in a second. And now let's go over here to the side and let's read what it says. It's a super retro blast from the past with the return of the all-time fan favorite Super Nintendo Entertainment System. The mini-sized Super NES Classic System is packed with over 20 pre-installed classic Super Nintendo Entertainment System games from the 90s, fully loaded and ready to play using original Super NES Classic controllers. So let's go over here to the back. On the back there's a list of the games. At the very top here you can see the list. Contra 3, The Alien Wars, Donkey Kong Country, Earthbound, Final Fantasy 3, F-Zero, Kirby's Dream Course, Kirby Superstar, Mega Man X, Secret of Mana, Star Fox, Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting, Super Castlevania 4, Super Ghosts and Ghouls, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Punch-Out!, The Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, and Yoshi's Island, as well as Star Fox 2, the never-before-release game, and you can see the box art for some of the games here. So now let's transition inside the box by opening this up and pulling the flap out. So before we go inside, there's actually a little message here that says, now you're playing with superpower. So let's go inside the box, and now let's open up these flaps. So this is what contains everything inside the box, and now let's begin by pulling this out, like so. And that will reveal the first thing inside the box, and that is this booklet that pretty much goes through all of the games. So let's open this up by taking it out of its wrapping. Here we go. And this has the warranty and service information, as well as some other general information. And then this is the startup instructions that's saying all you have to do is connect the controllers, you connect the dock to the power supply and the HDMI, and then it's showing you everything that's included. So you can actually connect it to a USB port on a PC, which is pretty cool. And then inside here, we've got the poster that says, now you're playing with superpower, and then it has some pictures of all of the games. It sadly can't fit this into the screen, but this is how the poster looks. And then at the bottom you can see Super Nintendo Entertainment System, as well as the official Nintendo seal, which is pretty nice. And then it's got some pictures of some of the games that are inside. So let's actually put this to the side real quick. There we go. And now this is what's left inside the box. So the first thing over here to the side is actually the controllers. So if we take those out carefully, you can put them there. And then what's next is the power brick, which you can connect to your wall outlet and plug it in for power that way, or you can actually connect it through a USB port on a computer. Then below the system itself, we have the HDMI cable and the AC connector that you can use in connection with this. So now what we have left is the system itself. So I'm gently going to do this to take the system out, and now I'll put the box to the side. So this is the system. But before we look at that, let's look at the controllers and everything else we have. So the controllers are here, and the system comes with two. We're just going to look at one of them though. So this is the controller, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System controller. You've got the classic D-pad here. You've got X, Y, B, A. On the top you have the L and R buttons, and then on the back you just have some information. It looks pretty similar to the original controller, so that's very nice. And then we just have a second one which looks the same, so that's pretty cool. Let me actually put that back inside its wrapping. And now let's look at this, which is the AC power brick. So that's what you use in conjunction to this, which will allow you to connect power to your system. And it's a relatively long cable, so that's good. And you can also use it, connect it to your computer if you have a computer near where you're actually using the system, which is very, very convenient. And that's probably how I'm going to use it. So let's put those back to the side. And then, of course, at the top here we have an HDMI cable. It's a pretty classic HDMI cable. You just use it to connect your system to your TV or monitor, however you prefer to play. So now comes the best moment of all, the system itself. So let's take it out of its wrapping, and there it is, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. You've got the power button, you got the reset button, you got the eject button, and then you see up here in the upper right, there's a Nintendo logo, and then if we flip this to the back, it's mentioning here the Super NES control deck, and then it's just mentioning some general stuff about the device. So you can see it's got 4 of these legs that hold it up, so that's pretty cool. Let's flip back over here. You can see the side is pretty normal. On the back it's got 2 ports, HDMI out and DC in, which is for power. And now let's go to the front of the system, which actually contains 2 ports here. So the ports look like this, and they can be popped off by lifting this thing here and then lifting the other one and then pulling it forward, so that reveals the 2 slots for your controllers. And if you just move this out a little bit, you'll have more room for that. And then if you want to put it back on, you just push it back on. Pretty simple. So now if you guys do want to connect this to your computer, it's pretty simple. You take the HDMI cable, you unwrap the HDMI cable, and then you take one end of it, you plug it into the back of your system in the HDMI out port, like that. And then you'll take your power adapter, take it out of its sleeve, and then you'll unwrap this in order to plug it into your system. So you have to take this end, which plugs into the back like so. Make sure you actually look at the ports so you're not plugging this in backwards. So once it's in like that, and once you make sure the HDMI cable is plugged in, you'll take this to your computer, plug it in, and then you can start by taking out one of your controllers, or both of them if you want to play at the same time, and then simply unwrap them. And you take this end of the cable, you'll open this flap back up, and you can insert it like that, which will let you play it. So now let's actually go to the system overview part of this entire video. So the console itself opens up to the language menu, where you can choose your language out of the 8 different options, and I'm going to go with English by pressing A and OK. There we go, and the system itself opens up to the game menu, where you have all of the options of games that we saw earlier on the back of the box, and we also have Starfox 2, which can't be unlocked until we actually do something in Starfox. And over here we have the display settings, where you have the Crt filter, and the Crt filter, if we go into just any of these games, I can show it off real quick. So I guess we can go with The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. And once this game loads up to its main screen, we'll be able to see the Crt filter, but right now you can see some of the effect from it, because you can see the lines on the screen, and it gives you that sense of the console in the past. So as you can see here, you can see the lines on the screen, and that's the filter that's currently on it. And there's also 2 other filters, so I guess we might as well go back to the home screen real quick. Okay, so we're back on the home screen, and you can actually save the game by going to the suspend point list, which is accessed by pressing down on the D-pad, and you can do that if you have a game open and you have 4 slots there. So if we go into another game here, we can show a little bit more of the effect of the Crt filter. So this is Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, and you can see the lines on the screen. So this is the filter, and now we're back here on the home screen. So these are all the options at the top. There's the normal options, and then there's the rest of the display settings. So I'm just going to stick with 4:3 because that's my preference, and this is what that looks like in Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. And we can also go back to the home screen again and go back to display settings to choose Pixel Perfect. So if we back out of this and go back into the game, this is what Pixel Perfect looks like. It makes the game look a little bit better, but it makes it a little bit smaller, I believe. So there's that. It definitely does look better, but personally, I'm going to stick with 4:3 because that's in the middle and it's nice. And then we have the option for frames, and there's a few different options if you want to choose one, but I'm just going to stick with the default. And here we have the options menu, where you have 3 different options, and then the language menu once again, then this entire notices menu, and then you have manuals if you want to scan the QR code and go online and see them. So I guess let's hop into one of these games and let's show it off, and we're going into Starfox. So once you actually get through the first stage in Starfox, you get access to another thing on the home screen. So let me actually go back to the home screen here, and I can show that off. And of course, that new thing is Starfox 2, which we can click on now, and this will do this little animation, and there we go. We unlocked Starfox 2, so the way you do it, again, is by going through the first Starfox game, and going through the first stage. So now, let's look at a little bit of gameplay for Starfox 2. So as you can see, this is definitely an awesome console. It gives you a bunch of games that you can play through that are a bunch of like awesome SNES classics, and they're all amazing, and I still have yet to play through some of the games, but from what I've actually played outside of what's been shown, I have been enjoying the console, and there's still so many options that I have yet to explore, so I'm excited to check those out. But again, overall, I really enjoyed this console, and if you manage to get one, I really recommend it because it's amazing, and it's got a lot of hours of fun in it. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I guess for now I'm going to end this off here. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to see more content, and for now, I'll see you guys next time. Bye everybody.